Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. I blog every day at kjaggers.com. The link to my blog is below. So I am back today sharing this beautiful Easter bread recipe. It's a beautiful braided bread. It's like a brioche, so it's buttery, sugary, delicious. Kids love it. It's got an egg baked right in the center. Actually a dyed egg. Perfect for Easter, right? This is actually an Italian recipe. It's super easy to make, and I'm posting this today, so if you want to make it on Saturday, you got all day to do so. You could also get up on Sunday morning and make this for your Easter dinner. So this recipe is super simple. I am, in fact, using my bread machine just to make the job of the dough a little bit easier. I'm going to be sharing on my blog how to make this bread, even if you don't have a bread machine. I'm going to share how to make it in a mixer or by hand. Very, very simple. And it's a delicious recipe. It could be a tradition that you start, with your kids because it's fun to make. There is sprinkles on top, and this looks beautiful on any, Easter table or buffet. And it's so simple to make. So I'm going to show you how. Okay, so as you can see, I have all of my ingredients out. Now, before I get into each ingredient, I am, like I said, using my trusty Cuisinart bread maker. Now, I will have the recipe for the bread maker and by hand on my blog in case you want to make this. But you could definitely make it today, the day before Easter, or if you're having an Easter dinner, you could make it early in the morning. So that's why this is going up. I wish I would have gotten it a few days earlier. But here I am, I'm sharing it today. So what you will need is 1/4 cup of water and 2/3 cup of milk. Now, both of these have been heated in the microwave for about 1 minute. I checked the temperature. You want it around 110 degrees. It was about 124 when I took it out. So by the time I'm done sharing this with you, it'll be about the right temperature. And then you're going to need 3/4 of a cup of softened butter, just room temperature. Then you're going to need 2/3 cup of sugar, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm using kosher. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. 1 lemon juiced, and so I just used my hand juicer. 2 eggs beaten up. 5 cups of flour. I'm using bread flour, but you could certainly use all-purpose. And then you're going to need 2 1/4 teaspoons of some active dry yeast. So that is all you're going to need for this part of the recipe. And the reason I'm using my bread maker, and by the way, this is the order they got to go into the bread machine. So you're going to add your water first, then the milk. You can see I got my paddle down there. And now the butter. Get in there, butter. There we go. Got to get the rest out. Just use my fingers. I have clean hands, you guys. That's one of the best tools in the kitchen. Now the sugar. Now the salt. The vanilla. The lemon juice. And the eggs. And it goes. And now all the flour. So just get it in there. It's going to be a little dusty. I'll just kind of add it slow so not too much, comes up. There we go. And then, let me get the rest. I even it out. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to take the dough out and, make the braids ourselves. So I added just a little bit of a well, and now we're going to add our yeast right in the middle. So it has to be in this order so things happen on bottom without affecting the yeast. And again, the directions for this by hand or with your mixer will be on my blog. So we're just going to shut the bread maker. And now we are going to pick 10 because that is dough on this machine. And we're just going to start it. So it's going to do its thing in there. And once the dough is ready and, you know, it's risen, we'll braid it in the little rounds that, you know, the little bread rounds that we will make. And we will let it rise again. And then we will bake it with the eggs in it. And I will explain all of that, but we're going to let this do the work. Now, if you're doing this by hand, you know, the directions, like I said, are on the blog. It's still super simple. It does require more work with your hands, which is why I like a bread machine, because I have kind of weak hands. But you can definitely make this. It's not hard. So we're going to let this work, and I will be back when it's ready. So I am just giving you an update. It is at the rise period. We have about an hour left. You can see it down there, and we're just going to allow it to rise. And you would also be at the rising state if you have mixed and kneaded up your bread by hand. So always remember, keep it in a warm spot, cover it up. Don't open your bread machine if you're using one, and let it rise without being disturbed. Okay, so while the bread dough is rising, I'm going to start getting my eggs ready. Now, I'm using Dudley's Majestic die packets, and they're just these little packets like this. And you put your raw eggs. Do not boil your eggs first. They will cook in the oven, I promise. So take your raw eggs and get them dyed. You can use just your standard. This is a really nice little method where you put a raw, well, usually you would put a boiled egg if you're doing this, you know, for normal Easter eggs. But for this recipe, you take a raw egg and just put it in one of these little bags, put the color in, and just kind of, you know, work the bag around the egg. So that's what I'm going to get busy doing. Okay, so how handy is that? Now, these do have to dry. You're supposed to, you know, put them out and let them dry, but I'm going to let them sit in that dye for just a while. It's not going to hurt anything, and I will let them dry when I'm, you know, when I start to roll out the bread. I'll take them out and let them dry, but I really want that color to absorb well. And, gosh, it's a wonderful way of doing Easter eggs. So, you know, here's the little packets like I showed. Cleanup is easy. This is genius, really. But get your eggs dyed, and if you skipped this video and tuned in, these eggs are not cooked. They are raw. So, number one, be careful. They will crack and break on you. Number two, this is not how you would normally dye Easter eggs. With your kids, you would go ahead and boil them first. This recipe cooks the egg in the oven with the bread. So, definitely, you know, be aware that these are not cooked, but usually they should be. I also put my eggs on a plate. I have them here drying after, you know, coloring them, and they're just doing their thing drying right here. So I have prepared 2 cookie sheets. I just added a piece of parchment down. Seal pads would work too. And I made a egg wash. So it's just 1 egg with a tablespoon of water mixed up, and I have my brush out. So these are ready now for our individual Easter breads. Okay, so at this point, the bread has risen. Now this is the second to last rise. So I have it on a, you know, on a floured counter. I just added a little, and here is our big, beautiful round of bread dough. Now I'm going to cut this into 12 pieces just using my tool here, and you're just going to cut straight through. This is very much like a brioche. This bread is sweet, so children love it. It's so fun to make. Okay, so we got 12 pieces. Some are a little bigger than others. It's not going to make that big a difference. And what we're going to do now, it's very simple. Move all of them out of your way. You need some work space. And we're going to roll them out. So all you're going to do is roll these out. And you're going to do it by hand. It's going to take you a minute. You can do it like this. And just keep rolling them out till they're about, I don't know, 12 to 14 inches long. And it's going to take a minute, but just keep pulling and stretching that bread. Roll it in your hands. This is the part that is fun to do with the kids. This is a great family tradition that you could start with your children and, make every Easter. So you're going to roll these all out, and that's what I'm going to get busy and do. So you just keep rolling them out. They don't have to be perfect. They're going to bake up beautiful anyway, and just keep rolling them out. It'll take a minute. Okay, so the first two are rolled out. You can see they're not perfect, and I tried to get them about the same size. So you're going to pinch the top together, and then you're going to braid them. So I like to pinch and turn and tuck under. And that way they kind of stick together. And then all you're going to do is braid them, take one piece over the other. Just like this. I kind of stretch it a little bit as I go. Just keep braiding it. And then pinch the other end right here. Then we're going to form a round. See that? And pinch it together. And that is how you do it. And then, see, let me show you. There you go. And then we're going to put our little rounds on our cookie sheets. So carefully pick it up and put it on your cookie sheet with parchment, and proceed with the other 5. So that's what I'm going to get busy doing, and it's that simple. So roll them out, braid them, just take them over each other, and pinch them off at the ends and get them on your cookie sheets. Okay, so I have all the little bread rounds made, the little braided bread rounds. Now these, some of them are a little bigger than others. That's not a big deal. Now if it bothers you, you could certainly just weigh out each piece of dough and make sure you have, the same size. That's how it would work in a professional kitchen or if you were selling these. But just for a home dinner, I don't really feel the need to do that. So I have these on my stove with my oven on super low, like warm, with the door cracked. I'm going to leave these sit. I'm going to cover them up, and I'm going to let them sit for about an hour and rise again. And then we will finish them off and get them baking. Super, super simple. So if you do start this the morning of, get up early and get it done, because it does take, a few hours with all of, the different rises that the bread has to go through. Okay, you guys, so the Easter rounds have risen. They're big and beautiful. They look amazing. I have my egg wash here. This is 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of water mixed up with a pastry brush. So get that ready. I also have my sprinkles bin. Now, whatever sprinkles you have will work. The kids tend to like, rainbow sprinkles like these. These are beautiful. little sugar sprinkles that work great too. And, you know, like some sprinkly sugar like this. So, you know, pick whatever sprinkles that you like. And then over here in this bowl is the eggs, and they are dried. Remember, these are raw eggs that we have dyed that will bake in the oven. So all you're going to do is brush your little rounds with the egg wash. I'm going to do one tray at a time. Get them coated well. It's what's going to make them shiny and beautiful. Now remember, some of these are bigger than others, and that's okay. Again, if you want it to be like perfect, weigh out each piece. I wasn't that worried about them being, you know, exactly perfect. Homemade is fine with me, and, you know, homemade doesn't always look perfect. But it's made with love, and, you know, that's all that counts. Okay, so for these, I'm going to add the kids' sprinkles because they love them. Just sprinkle them on top. They stick to it because of the egg wash. This is a really big one over here. It's really pretty. Okay, and then we're going to take one egg and snug it in to each piece of bread. So here's a yellow one, and we'll kind of snug it up around there a little bit. If there's, you know, a big gap, because you want it to kind of touch the sides. And we'll take a blue one for right here. Look at that one. That one's beautiful. Okay, those are snugged in and ready to go into the oven. Okay. Okay, we're proceeding with the next tray. Get the egg wash on. There's something so therapeutic about baking. I did a question and answer video answering some of your questions about culinary school. If you're interested in watching that, I'll be sure to put the link below. So just around we go. Now this one. Okay. For this one, I'm going to add some of these sprinkles. And just kind of put them around. These little balls tend to go everywhere. A couple more. You want them to look pretty. There we go. And now I'm going to add some of the blue sprinkles, just to kind of top it off. This is the one I'm using. These are sugar sprinkles, and I'm just going to kind of just add a little on each one. And then we will go ahead and put an egg in the middle of each one of these. Snug that egg right on in there. There they are. So these are ready to go into the oven 350 degrees. They're going to bake for around 20 to 25 minutes until they're puffy and golden brown. That egg will cook while the bread bakes, so don't worry about that. And these will be delicious. So I have the racks on the top part of the oven, and since these cook for about 20 minutes, I'm going to switch them around and rotate them in about 10 to 12 minutes, just to make sure they're cooked evenly, and they are going to be delicious. Look at how beautiful these are. They are gorgeous. They are out of the oven. I'm going to let them cool for just a little bit, and then I'm going to put them in an airtight container and put them in the refrigerator until our Easter dinner. I will actually bring them out on Easter morning so they become room temperature, and yeah, that's our Easter day bread. Gosh, that looks so good. So you guys saw how easy it was to make, you know, these beautiful Easter breads with the egg in the middle. Isn't that cool? Kids usually tend to like that. These are delicious, and if you have, you know, any questions at all, you can leave those in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you right away because the holiday is 2 days away. So, you know, I think Easter is such a family, you know, time when you can get together and you can talk about what Jesus died for, and you can celebrate with a big blessed dinner or lunch with your family. I think it is, you know, just a magical time of spring. So this very simple recipe will be posted on my blog in full. Like I said, you will get all the versions, the bread machine, the mixer, and by hand, so you know how to make them. And let me know again if you have any questions. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to get subscribed so you don't miss any new videos. I would love it if you followed along on Instagram or Facebook so you don't miss any new updates or pictures. So these are delicious, you guys. And just so you know, I am going to be storing these in an airtight container. I'm putting them in the refrigerator, and I'm going to bring them out Easter morning and, you know, kind of thaw out and come back to room temperature for Easter dinner. We will not be eating the eggs. If you are not going to be eating these right away, I highly suggest use some common sense, and it's probably best that you don't eat them, but they look so beautiful in the bread. And I think if you get these done right as, you know, Easter dinner is finishing, eating the eggs would be great. But you don't want to get sick. You don't want to give any of your guests anything, you know, that wouldn't, you know, be good. And, you know, just be cautious if you are going to be making these a little bit in advance like I am. So I hope, again, you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye.